There's an infinite amount of cash. You can feather it. There's an infinite amount of cash. You can feather it. There's an infinite amount of cash. You can feather it.
Good morning, Bitcoin. Today is Wednesday, June 17th, 2020. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is the World Crypto Network. The price of Bitcoin is down 0.49% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 9,413, a high of 9,566, and a low of 9,365. That's $1 for 10,624 Satoshis. Volume was regular for a weekday with around 2,185 Bitcoins changing hands. The market continues to lean margin long, with 80% of the market heading that direction. Bitcoin dominance was at 65.84%. Our top story today, Bitcoin to $1 million might sound crazy, but is it? This is a Clem Chambers Intelligent Investing contributor group, writing in Forbes. I have come to the conclusion that Bitcoin is going to $1 million. This number, which you will see tossed out into the crypto narrative, comes from the idea that there are 100 million subunits of Bitcoin, and that if each was worth the quantum unit of 1 US cent, then a Bitcoin would be worth $1 million. This is a non sequitur argument, as there is no causal link why this should be so. In fact, you can fractalize a Bitcoin Satoshi into as many sub-Satoshis as you like. It does have plenty of sizzle as an idea, and while it has seemed extremely unlikely to me until now, I suddenly see that mirage as being a possibility. Now, I believe this is a possibility not because the value of Bitcoin will go up, though I believe it will, but I believe the value of money is about to fall heavily, and quite possibly into the depths of monetary hell. This is why a Bitcoin could be worth $1 million or more. If there is not a startling recovery in the global economy this year, then government budgets will collapse, and those governments will be forced to print cash and monetize bonds. You might say this is QE, but QE isn't the same thing at all, because it doesn't print new money and hand it out. It prints new money and swaps it for not so acceptable assets that are a step or two and a haircut or two away from being swapped for others, for lovely cash. QE is a generous swap with a kindly pawn shop that is happy to take a view on the creditworthiness of a lot of dodgy assets. Handing out to the general public money still almost wet from the presses because they might get sad and uppity, or simply because they need money to pay their mobile bill, to keep the phone company solvent, to keep their employees working, to pay taxes to the government, is another thing entirely. Printing money to spend in that state's economy is straight South American-style inflationary fiat creation. If tax budgets crater, this is exactly what is going to happen, because austerity on the scale necessary to claw back broken budgets is not going to happen, and perhaps even shouldn't. Like it or not, the lockdown has made everyone poorer in what are highly leveraged economies. The trouble with leverage, as anyone with a nice lifestyle, a pile of debt, and sudden unemployment knows, is that leverage is great on the upswing, but awful on the downswing. Any trader will tell you leverage kills, and like any leverage trader caught with the markets in reverse, we must hope for a sudden semi-miraculous reversal in direction to save us from being irreversibly crushed by the mathematics. Right now, there are plenty of firebrands wanting to smash the capitalist system, or what passes for one in these mixed economic times. It may be proven ironic that it has already been smashed. Who owns the aftermath is yet to be established, and we can hope the outcome will not be worthy of a record in the history books. Either way, the outcome of sovereign budget collapses is not going to be resolved by deflation, and the only solution to such a situation will be to print and flush the system with money at every level without recourse to caring about inflation. I can imagine a scenario where a recovery comes quite quickly and governments print hard, but not so hard as to hit the sort of inflationary made famous in Argentina, Turkey, or even historic Japan, Hungary, and Germany. A strong recovery means rebasing currencies by 100% over, say, 6 or 7 years, which would do the trick of crawling back to a new normal. You would see inflation around 7 to 9% a year, and the rest of the dilution would be magicked away with statistical tweaks to help the optics of it all. That would be a fine accomplishment by those holding the bag of the next few excremental years. It would be like a plane crash where there was only concussions and broken limbs. But this soft landing is by no means a certainty. The second virus wave is already apparently shaping up, and countries are unlocking at a pace that might go into the autumn and perhaps will take even a year or two to revert to a status where economic activity can fully recover. The damage is still building. Is the timetable for a return to normal levels of economic activity going to allow state expenditures to continue at anywhere near old levels? It's hard to imagine it, while it is easy to imagine a biblical outcome. Doling out millions of new money is the classic answer to cut such chronic straits. So Bitcoin to $1 million could happen in short order in such circumstances, and in real terms, that might be only a few multiples higher in purchasing power. Right now, there are only about 18 million Bitcoins, with a maximum number of 21 million. And if any major economy or group of minor countries melted down into hyperinflation, that alone would drive the crypto into orbit in dollars. So while the halvening chips away towards high prices for Bitcoin, there's an inflation bomb ticking away that in short months will quickly resolve its probabilities. So what is an investor to do? Simply watch prices at your local supermarket and watch the pace of stimulus and government deficits? This will help you gauge if the wheels are coming off. And if they do, as is becoming increasingly possible, Bitcoin will go vertical. That inflation is already baked into U.S. equities and bonds care of QE, and if there is another round of U.S. stimulus, and it's the kind that goes straight into the pockets of people, then that will be the starting gun for a financial reset that will see everyone with plenty of zeros added on to their net wealth, but sadly with significantly less ability to buy the things that they want. Clem Chambers is the CEO of private investors website advfn.com and authors of 101 Ways to Pick Stock Market Winners and Trading Cryptocurrencies, A Beginner's Guide. Bitcoin to $1 million? Maybe. Layer 2 will make Bitcoin as easy to use as the dollar, says Kraken CEO. Kraken CEO Jesse Powell told Bloomberg in a recent interview that Bitcoin would surpass gold as a store of value in the long term. Pretty soon, all of the technology behind Bitcoin will just disappear, and it'll be just like the US dollar, where no one really understands how it works, but everyone uses it. Jesse Powell, bullish on Bitcoin and Layer 2. Hit that like button. Bitcoin failed as money, and that is great news for crypto, according to Forbes magazine. But it's not over yet. Bitcoin difficulty sees 2-year record surge as hash rate mimics 2017. A gigantic 14.95 advance makes analysts confident as miners appear to balance increased costs to retain profitability. Many were worried about a mining death spiral after the Bitcoin halving, when the reward halved from 12.5 to 6.25. And while the hash rate did go down temporarily, the hash rate of Bitcoin is back up with a new 14.95% increase. Bitcoin makes up more than 90% of payments processed by BitPay. Remember all the talk about altcoins and how they're used for payments? It turns out 90% of people use Bitcoin. The closest competing asset was Bitcoin Cash, which maintained a market share of 3 to 5%. Pathetic. The price of Bitcoin is down 0.64% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 9,398, a high of 9,566, and a low of 9,365. That's $1 for 10,639 Satoshis. Volume was a little low for a Wednesday, with 2,188 Bitcoins changing hands. The market continues to lean margin long, with 80% headed that direction. Bitcoin dominance was at 65.84%. Check out the World Crypto Network store at worldcryptonetwork.store. We've got the Treasures Don't Float t-shirt, the Bitcoin Not Bombs 2020 Halving Special, and the World Crypto Network Classic t-shirt designed by Crypto Graffiti. This and more at the World Crypto Network store at worldcryptonetwork.store. Also, check out the World Crypto Network audio podcast, where you can check out audio versions of this show every single day. And right now, check out the Spreaker.com World Crypto Network podcast, where we just might be live now. I'm looking for it. I'm not seeing it, but it said it was live. It says time is running out. Upgrade your account to get longer broadcasting time. So we're running out of time on the free podcast, so check it out. We're live on audio podcast today as well, theoretically. And now, here's the news. Again, we want to give a shout out to Adam Meister. Got his Bitcoin channel back. Good job, YouTube. Took you forever, but they made the right decision. They got Adam back. They got Adam his channel back. People who care about themselves and others wear masks, which is why Trump doesn't. Sick burn. We have sad news that the 75-year-old protester in Buffalo who was pushed to the ground has a fractured skull and is not able to walk, according to a statement his lawyer sent to CNN today. Please recall the president was mocking this protester and calling him an agent provocateur, saying that he was going to jam the policeman's transitions with something in his hand. The man can't even walk. President seems confused about what he's pursuing and how he's pursuing it. The U.S. economy is celebrating a 17.7% surge in retail sales. However, as Dan the Dark Pill says, it's like when your shitcoin is down 96% and they report it surged 3%. That's right. China is shutting down all schools. Everyone in the United States and Brazil should be concerned with the latest news out of China. If China can't get COVID-19 under control for more than a few weeks with their strict guidelines, we are in serious trouble. Jason Scott reminding us a little bit of computer history. Remember the time when Steve Jobs of Apple, a company without the market share in browser, computers, or even alternate technologies, stabbed Flash in the leg, and Flash laughed and walked away and slowly stumbled, and then 10 years later, died. Guess that was the end of our live podcast there. So much for the podcast live thing. We'll see if we can do it tomorrow or if we only get 15 minutes for all time. As we've talked about in Las Vegas, reopening without killing the virus did not bring back demand. We need demand to come back. In order to get demand back, we have to kill the virus. It's kind of what the guy was talking about in his article this morning, why he thinks that inflation is going to cause the price of Bitcoin to rise to $1 million. But as you know, that would be $1 million kind of worthless dollars, right? That would be $1 million bucks that everyone would have. So it won't be that great, but at least we'll be millionaires, right? Theoretically, if you can get your hands on a Bitcoin or maybe even part of a Bitcoin if they just keep printing those dollars.
There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
So far, so good. Trump believes that there are only a tiny percentage of bad cops. He uses the word tiny. It's a very small percentage, but nobody wants to get rid of them more than the really good and great police officers. Okay, so we're still downplaying the problem and ignoring the protesters in the street. That's definitely going to get us somewhere. We're definitely working our way towards some kind of consensus. Trump says Americans want law and order even if they don't say it. Some of them don't even know what they want, but that's what they want. All right. That's great. Here, the right-wing extremists are violently assaulting a peaceful protester right in front of the police. The police do nothing. They actually side with the much more numerous right-wing protesters. Here you can see the man's just standing in the center there. Maybe they're having a chat about racism and such. And he hits him from behind. The officers do nothing. So it's just like school all over again. So much for that, huh? Keep working on it. Looting has been over for many days, but the president and some of his allies want reporters to keep talking about it. I wonder why that is. Couldn't be that looting downplays the protesters' cause or the fact that they've been peaceful in the streets for more than 2 weeks now. It's been a long time. But this is just a modest executive order about police reform. In the speech, the president has moved on from police reform to praising the police for bravery on 9/11 and then talking about funding for school choice. This speech has been given many times by him and isn't specific to the event. So protesters in the streets for more than 2 weeks just give a generic speech about school choice. Who cares? Check out Tallycoin 2.0, the new Tallycoin by DJ Booth at Tally, co.in. You can check out the Tallycoin new fundraising software right here. They're trying to raise money for Tallycoin here on the front page. That's a good idea. They're trying to raise $360. You can donate with the Bitcoin or the Lightning Network right here on Tallycoin. Very cool. Tallycoin 2.0. Oh, it says it's got a plugin too. Built on the TallyPay website plugin. What? Huh. You can add TallyPay to your own website. See? It's great. Tallycoin. Doesn't take any fees. Bad news in Arizona. Arizona reports more than 2,400 more coronavirus cases in a single day. Yes. It's back. We all knew it was coming back. We talked about it. We told you not to go out. We all knew it was coming back. Alejandro is really fired up about the increase, 14.95%, the highest increase in Bitcoin difficulty since 2008, 0113, which was 15.36%. So major increase. More people are mining Bitcoin today than yesterday. Trump closed his speech, which was originally about systemic racism in policing, with a subtle defense of the Confederacy, saying that we must build upon our heritage, not tear it down. You got to love the way they use all these nice words about things, about how they're working on the final solution and, you know, all that kind of stuff. They just mix it right in there. So don't even notice, you know. It's just it's kleine Probleme. There's an executive order that basically says no chokeholds unless an officer's life is in danger, which seems to be the exact same thing they're already doing. Now they just have a written law giving them permission with the same excuse. This new executive order is a whole lot of nothing. Douglas Bishop says this was the worst White House event ever. The rambling was insane. The point was completely missed. The invitees were only white cops. The executive order doesn't go to anyone to do anything. And he forgot the box of pens. If your goal was to heal the nation, just epic fail. I can't believe they forgot the box of pens. I mean, that's not the president's job. That's some aide's job. And the aide should know that you're signing things. There should be tons of pens. It's crazy. Sell those things later. Oh, this is pretty good. We have a narration here by David Attenborough. Let's go full screen and let's check this out. Let's see. Oh, full screen? Good, good. Here we go. And
this extraordinary creature is half blind, half deaf, and this is just about as fast as it can move. That's what's going to happen to you if you live on nothing but fast food. It's one animal that I don't need to sneak up on.
oh, sick little Twitter video there, narrated by David Attenborough. Funny stuff. From the Lincoln Project. Oh, nice. More hard-hitting ads from former Republicans, anti-Trumpers. Shout out to Honey. She says, this is the greatest reality news. World Crypto Network takes the lead. And here we have other people taking the lead in Paris, pushing that small car out into the street and spinning it around. So, fun with small cars today in beautiful Paris. They're wearing the all-black masks. Not sure if this is about Black Lives Matter or about the yellow vest protests of Paris, or they just don't like that car. Perhaps they're going to use it as a barricade against the police, but they're going to need several more cars. He's throwing pieces of the car at them. All right, I think we're done with Paris for today. Interesting tweet here from Max Kaiser following a very strange tweet from Peter Schiff. Let's hear what Peter Schiff said. Peter Schiff, famous anti-Bitcoiner, says, the reason black parents must warn their sons that police are more likely to be suspicious of them than white men is that black men commit a disproportional amount of crime. It's probability, not racism. Blame the black criminals, not the police of all races, for playing the odds. And he's completely wrong here. Actually, if you police black neighborhoods more than white neighborhoods, you'll get more black criminals. And if you do this for 50 or hundreds of years, then you'll continue this problem. So I'm not sure he's right on there. And Max Kaiser comes out and takes the gloves off. Max Kaiser says, this is why Peter Schiff will never get and never got Bitcoin. White supremacists are too rigid in their minds to understand paradigm-shattering changes when they happen. Serious takedown by Max Kaiser. And there's a little tweet about yesterday's show. It's great. Every time you retweet this show, an angel gets her wings. Every cop that quits at the very idea of police accountability is a black life that's been saved. And 10 members of the SWAT team have resigned and the police has accepted their resignation. So goodbye. Andrew Yang heard from a state legislator that 40% of the small businesses in his district will never come back. This is devastating and will transform our neighborhoods and communities unless dramatic actions are taken. Small businesses are the source of most jobs. Arizona partygoers were packing the bars. Now, the state is a coronavirus hotspot. I should just get a button that says, I told you so. I told you so, button. Voting by mail should be implemented nationwide. That's right. Voting by mail is awesome. We all need to vote by mail. AOC says, a lot of politicians are scared of the political power of the police, and that's why changes to hold them accountable for flagrant killings don't happen. That in itself is a scary problem. We shouldn't be intimidated out of holding people accountable for murder. Forbes shows a potential value of way over $1 million for Bitcoin. The Bitcoin network value at the end of 2021, this would be the entire network value. But the entire network value of Bitcoin previously never topped 400 billion, but they're saying right here that it could be 1.2 trillion by the end of 2021 for the value of the entire network, not a single Bitcoin. So we have an update on the Shake Shack story. There was a story in the news about Shake Shack poisoning police officers. The police officers thought their shakes tasted funny, so they immediately went to the hospital because apparently they're very scared of being poisoned. Apparently a lot of people don't like them. I don't know. But it turns out that there's a more accurate and, again, Occam's razor scientific explanation. Here's the timeline. The shake machine was cleaned. The first shakes out of the machine have residual cleaner. Cops get the shakes that taste funny. Cops go to the hospital assuming poison. Police union publicly assumes attempted homicide. Media reports assumptions. Conservative Twitter explodes. But this is all that happened is they cleaned the shake machine and they need to run it a few more times before they give out shakes from it. So Shake Shack, it's a good lesson there. A second poll shows Trump even further behind in Michigan, with Joe Biden leading by 16 points, 55 to 39. I remember in politics, about a 5-point lead is a trouncing. A 10-point lead is a landslide. A 15-point lead is unheard of. So let's hope he doesn't blow it, right? John Cleese was on The Muppet Show. That was pretty cool, but yeah, they're definitely going to take our as rights for that, so we're going to just keep going. Caitlin Collins says, this is going to hurt. Airlines ban alcohol on planes in response to COVID-19. Yes, it's real now. They're saying that they're requiring everyone on planes to wear masks. That's definitely a no-brainer. They're also requiring masks in the House of Representatives and the Senate. So it's starting to become only stupid people don't wear masks. People that are, hashtag team virus. They want to get out there and spread that virus. Good stuff. So if you're in an enclosed indoor location with people less than 6 feet away, you need to wear a mask. And apparently you can't drink because they're worried that if you have an alcoholic drink, you'll be kind of savoring it. So you'll drink it slowly. So maybe you'll take your mask off more. So you'd have a potential for spreading more virus. So as much as it sucks, and I can't imagine the long haul flights and the crazy bumpy flights and whatever else, also the airlines are losing lots of money. There's no reason for the stewardesses and so on and so forth. They're also going to be restricting bathroom visits. You have to be called on like in school. They don't want to serve any food. They basically just want to keep you in your seat with your mask on. We're only one step away from everyone has to wear adult diapers and everyone wears big plastic suits. And maybe they'll just knock us out. Eventually, they got to get to the flights where they just knock you out and they stack you like cardboard, and you wake up when you get there, hopefully. But yes, there goes flying. So much for flying. Bully Esquire says, the thing about cancel culture is that at some point, you'll be the target. No one is ideologically devout enough. No one can achieve the requisite standards. This isn't justice. It's cultural destruction. And I've seen a lot of that recently with people, oh, I don't want to meet my heroes, or, oh, all my Bitcoin heroes turned out bad, or whatever it is. I mean, I think that we're holding people to too high a standard. We all just need to do the best we can. Here's a man doing the best he can. Today, alongside my colleagues, I will introduce a motion to replace the LAPD officers with unarmed, non-law enforcement agencies who will be responsible for responding to nonviolent calls for service. Finally, service. That's all people want. Government, service. Right now, the only one they can call is the police, so they keep calling the police even when someone's writing on the yard with chalk. They're writing on the cement with chalk, and they call the police. The Trump administration has filed a lawsuit against John Bolton, alleging breach of contract, according to a federal court docket. His book, scheduled to be released Tuesday, has already shipped to warehouses, and he's already taped an interview with ABC News. Exciting stuff. We'll see what's happening. I guess I'm going to read Bolton's book. I've already pledged not to buy it, but I do plan to read it. We'll have to see if I can pull that off. Vital Vegas agrees everything is ruined again. COVID-19 taking the alcohol from the airlines. American taxpayers spend $107 billion more on police than public housing. Pass it on. And Facebook is now worth $650 billion, largely due to the monetization of our data. How much of that value are users seeing? At this point, Facebook should be paying users for the privilege of using our data. Andrew Yang is absolutely right on this. There are 98 U.S. cities where protesters were tear-gassed. As Robert Reich says, tear-gassed is banned in war. It must be banned in the United States. Why did Trump have a secret midnight run to Walter Reed Medical Center? It's time we talk about it. Hashtag Trump is not well.
Something's wrong with Donald Trump. He's shaky, weak, trouble speaking, trouble walking. So why aren't we talking about this? And why isn't the press covering Trump's secretive midnight run to Walter Reed Medical Center? Why do so many reporters who cover the White House pretend they can't see Trump's decline? The most powerful office in the world needs more than a weak, unfit, shaky president. Trump doesn't have the strength to lead, nor the character to admit it. We're not doctors, but we're not blind. It's time we talk about this. Trump is not well.
Wow, powerful advertisement from the Lincoln Project. Great work, use of video, especially like the one where they used Trump with the toilet paper on his shoe as he climbed the steps of Air Force One. That was a particularly good get and really underlined the point that they were trying to make. That was another ad from the Lincoln Project, a group of former Republicans now advertising against Trump. Tulsa officials are pleading with Trump to cancel his Tulsa rally because it will help spread the coronavirus. Hashtag Team Virus. A hate rally isn't more important than crushing the curve. And you have to love these officials pleading, and the health official pleading and just begging, please don't come to our town and help kill our citizens. Or maybe have the rally outside, right? Let's open that up as an idea. Have the rally outside, wear the masks, have the hand sanitizer, all the stuff. The main problem is being inside, right? But they're not listening. Beijing to shut down all schools amid coronavirus resurgence. So remember when we thought China had it under control? Virus is back. And maybe depending on your opinion, but I don't know. I don't think anybody could be against this. This is obviously the greatest news of all time. I only have a drum hit. I don't have a drum roll. But if you could just imagine a drum roll with me, please. You did it. You crazy sons of bitches. You did it. Scientists say they can recreate living dinosaurs within the next 5 years. Dinosaurs. 5 years. Jurassic Park for real. Way better than Star Wars Land. We could live to see it. 5 years, real Jurassic Park. I hope they don't start with raptors, but in general, dinosaurs, man. Dinosaurs. So awesome. Another book I desperately want to read. This is the cover of Mary Trump's forthcoming book. Put this up there with the Bolton book. Gotta get it. The title is Too Much and Never Enough. How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man. Whew. And this is someone from Trump's family. This is, she knows him. Big book from Mary Trump. Arizona has crossed the Rubicon. Its epidemic now exceeds Brazil and Peru to be one of the hardest hit regions in the world, exceeding all European countries as well. Today, record cases, record positive percentages, record ER, record hospitalizations, record ICU, hashtag Team Virus, Arizona, great job spreading that virus. It's very sad. It's been 4 weeks since the Seattle police shot and killed a man running away from them in Lower Queen Anne. Still no release of his name or any update on the investigation. There it is right there. As I've been predicting for a long time, you can play roulette, baccarat, blackjack, or craps at Palace Station, all with no human beings. That's right. Gambling without human beings. There go the table games. Even Vital Vegas agrees. Significant labor cost savings here. Oh. That was doubly funny because I hit the wrong button. This is an interesting story. I remember a while ago that China bought the major pork producer, Smithfield Farms, and it turned out that meat packing companies said their plants needed to stay open, warning the U.S. that they faced a severe meat shortage. At least 89 American meat packing workers died. It turns out it was a fake meat shortage. Turns out that American meat packers shipped a record amount of pork to China. I'm not conservative on most things, but I'm not against the American people controlling their food supply. That seems pretty common sense to me. Pork produced in the United States, 129,000 tons, was exported to China in April. China's largest pork producer bought Smithfield, America's largest pork producer. As meat plants stayed open to feed Americans, exports to China surged. Did you know if 80% of Americans wore masks, COVID-19 infections would plummet? There's compelling evidence that Japan, Hong Kong, and other East Asian locales are doing it right, and we should really, truly mask it up. Jennifer Gunther writes, today I had angst about how are we ever going to get a handle on COVID in the U.S. Making masks political is a huge part of it. Trump has literally doomed us to a perpetual viral winter. And William Gibson, famous science fiction writer, is also afraid of this. West Virginia reports a cluster of 28 coronavirus cases tied to church. Significant outbreaks in other states and around the world have also been linked to religious services. You just can't go inside a building, be close to people, and be all raw breathing, sharing their air, touching each other, so on and so forth. You just can't do it anymore. No one's going to protect you. April 27th was the last time there was a White House coronavirus task force briefing, leaving us for more than a month without regular updates from the group Vice President Pence was tapped to lead. Remember it? The president told people to inject themselves with disinfectant and or light in an attempt to cure the virus, and after that, there were no more briefings. The virus ended. But as we can see, it's not over. Not by a long shot. What percent of the U.S. population do you think recognizes the Bitcoin symbol? Well, I know from personal experience, having worn my Bitcoin hat everywhere and anywhere for years and years and years, everyone thinks that I'm a fan of the Boston Bruins. So I'm going to go with 0 to 10%, which is generous even at 10%. 50% of those polled agree. 0 to 10% recognizes the Bitcoin symbol. That just means we have a lot more work to do. And now, a nice, peaceful, and relaxing scene from Nara, Japan. A herd of deer relaxing by cherry blossom trees. The thing about a really good distraction or attention breaker is that it only makes you really afraid for what's coming next. I mean, we've seen homeless people shot to death. We saw a man die with a policeman's knee on his neck. Oh, this is pretty bad. not as bad as those things, but who's old enough that they've defragged a computer? It's amazing how quickly these images go away, but yes, defragging used to be a thing on Windows. Your files would get all out of order on the hard drive, and so the defrag program would go take those chunks of files and presumably put them in a better order so the computer could read them easily. So obviously I'm old enough, I defragged a computer, many computers, and then they ran faster, so it was worth it. The military continues to distance themselves from Trump over the Lafayette Square attacks, when Trump attacked protesters with tear gas and smoke grenades and rubber bullets, clearing the square so he could have a photo op, really seems to be a line with a lot of people. So that's good. Simone Romero says, I've covered violent street protests in Caracas and Rio. It never felt as threatened as last night in Albuquerque. At one point, an armed militia member taunted me for working at the New York Times. No police were in sight. Why did authorities cede control of the scene to extremist gunmen? And this does seem to be happening, similar to that scene we watched the other day in Philadelphia, where there were armed, violent protesters protecting the Columbus statue. Good luck with that. And they attacked a journalist, cutting the tires of his bike and hitting his camera, so on and so forth. The police sided with the violent protesters. Maybe the police are just scared because there's greater numbers of them, although there's obviously greater numbers of the Black Lives Matter protesters in most situations. Maybe they're afraid because they have guns or bats. I don't want to suggest it, but it's certainly possible that other people could also go to the sporting goods store. So I don't know. It's very strange stuff. Trump can't spin death. That's a tough one. Tough to get by that. Governor Greg Abbott of Texas is criticizing young people for not taking the coronavirus seriously as infections rise. We all know that Governor Greg Abbott never took coronavirus seriously enough and rushed on reopening Texas. Now he wants to scold young people for following his lead. What a hypocrite. Hospitals in several Alabama cities are now seeing all-time highs in coronavirus. The number of COVID-19 patients in hospitals in Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Montgomery, and Decatur has hit all-time highs, filling beds and taxing staff as the state struggles with a new wave of cases. And in case you're wondering, a map of the coronavirus cases in the United States does seem to be mainly exploding in the South and the Southwest. Oh yeah, so much for that whole heat kills the virus thing. It's not killing it inside enough. Senator John Kennedy, a Republican from Louisiana, says an amendment to remove the names of Confederate leaders from military property picks on the South unfairly. As David Corn says, like the way the South picked on slaves. Ooh, sick burn. Brian Behar reminds us that 5 black men hanging from trees. Do the math. It's not suicide. And we do seem to have a problem in the United States of lynching, again, just after Rand Paul filibustered the anti-lynching legislation again, which is what the filibuster was originally invented for, is because they used it to block anti-lynching legislations and others. American, United, and Delta are now threatening to ban any passenger who refuses to wear a mask on board. Good. And Speaker Pelosi is now requiring all House members to wear masks at committee proceedings. Anyone who doesn't wear a mask will be denied entry by the Sergeant at Arms. So once again, masks usage is spreading. You guys here have known about this for weeks and weeks and months even. We were talking about masks way back in the day. Early on in this, I asked my friend from Hong Kong if he was serious, if masks really help, because at the time the official information said that masks didn't work. I believe that official information was handed out because they were worried about their supply of PPP, and they didn't want the American people to just randomly buy it all, which they knew we would. So they put out the whole no mask thing. It was a mistake. I think in the reality, as my friend said, from Hong Kong and other Asian environments where they've had these diseases before, everyone wears masks and it goes away quicker. And he sent me several studies about how much a mask blocks and how it would block it. And it just needs everyone to wear it because it blocks it. If I'm sick, it blocks me from getting you sick. But if you're sick, you have to wear a mask to help me. So it's a complicated issue. Getting near the top. I think we're going to make it. 48 minutes. If the infection rate is rising because of more testing, that isn't a mitigating factor. You can't just write it off because more tests are finding more cases. That doesn't, make it less bad. Be smart. Wear a mask. There seems to be no Bitcoin mining death spiral, as Bitcoin experienced a 14.95 upward difficulty adjustment, as hash rate has recovered to 113 exahashes post-halving. Police in the United States have killed 120 people since George Floyd. 20 days, 120 lives. Just keeps happening. What's wrong with blockchain.info? Why won't Nicholas Carey upgrade blockchain.info to SegWit and Lightning? He's all excited they have 50 million wallets, but those wallets are stuck in the past, being overcharged by old technology. It's time to ask them again. All right, that looks good. Maybe we need a GIF. Ooh, this one's quite good. And why the hell not? So get out there and ask at blockchain Ask their CEO at NICCARY. Ask Nick Carey, why doesn't blockchain.info support SegWit and Lightning? They're actually ripping off their customers by charging them higher Bitcoin fees and claiming that Bitcoin is more expensive to send than it actually is, to say nothing of how cheap it is to send Bitcoin with the Lightning Network. Blockchain.info. Accept Bitcoin. Do it for real now. Upgrade your wallets. And thanks to everyone for joining us today on this show. We're out of news. We did it in less than an hour. The price of Bitcoin has declined slightly since we started this show. The price is down 1.27% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 9,387, a high of 9,566, and a low of 9,365. That's $1 for 10,653 Satoshis. Volume's a little low, but it is a weekday, with 2,219 Bitcoins changing hands. The market continues to lean margin long, with 80% of the market heading that direction. Bitcoin dominance is at 65.88%. Please give us a thumbs up and a share. Subscribe down below and hit the bell for notifications. This is the World Crypto Network, and we talk about Bitcoin and the general news every single day. You could get your own World Crypto Network t-shirt at worldcryptonetwork.store. Check out the Treasures Don't Float t-shirt. Tired of telling your friends about the boating accident where you lost all your Bitcoin? Okay, so it was a yacht. Tell your friends quick and easy way with Treasures Don't Float, the t-shirt. It's fun, hilarious, and designed by Philippe. Check it out on worldcryptonetwork.store. We've also got the World Crypto Network audio podcast, currently up to date with audio versions of the same episode you just listened to. You could check out yesterday's episode right now on the World Crypto Network audio podcast, and we did a test today on Spreaker of a live audio podcast. I believe the first 15 minutes of the show were broadcast live, so check it out on Spreaker. That's about it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, bye-bye.
An infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.